humid. Ugh, hate humidity so much. So, reading challenge 22, Margaret Atwood's Year of the Flood, following on, of course, from Oryx and Crake, and then followed by Mad Adam, which I haven't yet read and would like to. We meet Mad Adam in this book, and he's a cool character. This book follows two characters called Ren and Toby, and they have both been trapped in separate places because of the flood. And it's a dry flood. It's a flood, of course, of an infection and whatnot. And it's called the dry flood by the gardeners in the book. The gardeners are kind of like the central axis of the book. They're an organised religion based on the growing of things. I didn't really enjoy the gardeners' religious aspect as such. I skipped the mini sections in this between Toby and Ren's POV sections, which have sermons by the head gardener and weekly events or daily events in their lives whilst they're hiding from the flood, and didn't like that, didn't enjoy it, so I skipped most of those. But Toby and Ren's POVs are great. What's most interesting about this is that there's a lot of flashback, and we learn a great deal more about the world as it was before the flood occurred. We see quite a lot of it in Oryx and Crake, but I feel like we get a more in-depth view in the Year of the Flood. How the world works, all the ins and outs of the systems and the corporations, and it was all so interesting. Lots of intellectual food for thought in it, as usual with Margaret Atwood. The only thing that I felt wasn't appropriate in it was the sexual violence. Not because I find sexual violence in books inappropriate if it's used correctly. In The Handmaid's Tale, it's very, very vital that we witness that and we see the victim and the perpetrator's reactions to it. It's very important. In this book, however, I felt like it was unnecessary because the perpetrators of this sexual violence were characters that sort of kept appearing out of nowhere. Their ringleader, in particular, he's involved with Toby, who's trapped at the health spa. I forgot to say where they were trapped. Toby was trapped at a health and beauty spa, and Ren is trapped at a nightclub in sort of medical isolation. They dance in these extraordinary skin suits, and hers got ripped. So she's isolated, so whatever possible contamination got in can clear up. Anyway, this guy used to be Toby's manager, and he had this habit of picking girls who worked for him as girlfriends and forcing them to have sex with him. And when Toby started working there, she didn't want that to happen to her, and it happened to her. So, and then he sort of swaps her on for somebody else, and this incident occurs where she has to be rescued by people who are allied with the gardeners. They've been sent there by a friend of hers who used to work at the restaurant, who sort of wanted to take Toby away from that situation. But anyway, this manager guy ends up in jail, and he ends up on this reality show that's televised where prisoners have to attempt to survive in this hideous sort of combat arena type thing. We are given to believe that he has not survived it, and then suddenly he pops up out of nowhere. And I didn't feel that his attitude at the restaurant was necessary. The incident that happened could have happened with or without that, and was quite adequate to get her away from him and have him want her dead as he did afterwards. And the sexual violence at the end, completely unnecessary to me. It didn't add anything to the story. You could have taken it out and it wouldn't have been of any difference whatsoever. So that's why I felt that was completely unnecessary in this book. I really enjoyed seeing some of the characters from Oryx and Crake from a different viewpoint, especially the sort of perfect humans that were created in a lab. We see them from a different viewpoint, and I kind of dug them a little bit more in this. In Oryx and Crake, I was so annoyed with them because I don't like their creating. Of course, we're supposed to dislike him, so, but yes, that's why I disliked his creations, because I was like, that's really disingenuous. How dare you? How dare you? And that's what it's kind of like about humanity's position over nature, where we think we have the right to control nature and bend it to our will. Well, we don't, and this is more of that. This is more of that theme with the gardeners very much wanting to be at one with nature. Yes, full marks for this one, and I look forward to reading Mad Adam. Next week, I'm going to be doing something very, very different. I watched the movie Under the Skin a while back, and I had issues with it. But I really didn't know what to make of it. I wanted to watch it again and get a more in-depth sort of feel for my response to it. However, I found the novel that the film is based on Kindle Deals the other week and bought it and read it in one night. And yeah, now I have really big thoughts about both the movie and the book. So next Friday is going to be a movie book compare and contrast. Now, before anyone gets into any contentious shit, I did film at university. I'm fully aware of the difficulty of adaptation and all of that, but it's just the choices that were made with this film. Reading the book gave me that extra context that I required to understand why I was so ill at ease with those choices, and really make it unnecessary for those choices to have been made because there were so many different ones to make from the book. So I'm going to be discussing that next Friday. I hope you'll join me for that, and thank you for watching this week. Bye bye.